Welcome to Afterthoughts with Erica. My name is Erica O'Meara, and as I begin my journey to becoming an end-of-life doula, I'm challenging myself to talk to 100 people about death, dying, and what comes next. Join me as we explore these stories and work together to make the topic of death less uncomfortable, one conversation at a time. Afterthoughts with Erica is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. The opinions expressed are solely of the speakers and do not represent legal, medical, or financial advice. This series does not supersede any written last will and testament, legal documents, or directives. Please note that this series may contain adult subject matter and with strong language. Viewer discretion is advised. Welcome back to Afterthoughts with Erica. Today, I am joined by the lovely Beverly, who is a relative of one of our previous guests. Beverly is 82, a former lawyer, and she is ready to talk to us about death and dying. Thank you so much for joining me today, Beverly.
You're welcome.
Let's get right into it.
Okay.
Question number one, the hardest one. Are you afraid of death?
No, I'm not.
Do you want to elaborate on that and why you're not?
I had a melanoma in 2020 and it was not operable, so I had to think about death. I was given immunotherapy, which works 50% of the time, and it worked. But during that time, I had a lot of time to think. And I became, I prayed too, but I became very calm. And I think that released the fear.
That's great. And congratulations for beating melanoma. That's great.
Yeah, that was.
Is there a death in your past that profoundly changed the way that you view death and dying?
Well, there have been a lot of deaths. I can't say that they had a profound effect, except thinking about people being alone when they die. My father was alone when he died, and that bothered me a lot. He was in a nursing home, and I had seen him that day, but they called me like at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and told me, and that bothered me and still does.
Yeah, it's difficult to know that. And knowing that, we can't be there for everybody all the time. It's just sort of a hard truth that we have to face, unfortunately. But you were lucky enough to have been able to see him beforehand, right?
Right.
Yeah, what a blessing that is.
Mm-hmm.
So do you believe in the afterlife?
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I think that has to be there. I can't understand why the prayers might have worked unless there was something, or maybe it was just from inside me. But yeah, I read a book fairly recently. The man was a neurosurgeon, and he really, really believed in an afterlife. And you've got to think about it. He was a local person, a neurosurgeon, and he had been very, very religious, but kind of fell away from it. But once he'd had his near-death experience, he came back to religion. It's a comfort. And he did meditation. There's a place in Nelson County where we live that called the Monroe Institute. And they have, I don't really understand it, but they have people there that that think that they can, what do they call it?
Like astral projecting.
Astral projecting, right. And he became involved with them, and I don't know what he did after that because that wasn't part of his book, but that's interesting too. Yeah.
Yeah. And
There's
that he was a neurosurgeon.
There's so many things not to understand.
And honestly, how are we ever going to know?
We might come back and haunt somebody and tell
you
them.
Never know. You're only going to know when you get there, I guess.
Yeah.
If you could have an ideal death, what would it look like?
I don't want, just to die in my sleep or something like that. I want to know that I'm dying. I want to be able to talk to my children, my husband, my grandchildren, if I can. I don't want a prolonged death, but I want to experience it, put it that way.
Okay. I think that that's
I'm
fair.
dying. I want them to know I am too.
Sure. That's fair. If there was one thing that you could bring with you in death, what would it be?
There's nothing I would bring.
Okay. Some people struggle with this one because they want to see their family members, but they don't want their family members or their pets to like pass on, so they struggle with that one. But some people actually have done more like intrinsic things like memories or like their sense of kindness and stuff like that. So but yeah, some people definitely can't think of anything that they would want to bring because there's nothing in this world that's really that valuable to them.
Well, it's a new beginning.
That's right. Clean slate.
Right.
We don't need to be hoarders in death. How do you want your funeral to go?
I really do not want a funeral.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like them. I don't know. It's so easy to remember people alive. I don't like that memory of seeing people dead. I just don't want a funeral.
Would you be interested in having like a celebration of life or a party for everybody where everybody gets together and talks about memories of you or anything like that?
Not really. You get to a certain age and your friends are gone, your friends are dead. It's a burden on your children to gather all of this stuff together, and I just don't want their last memory of me to be planning my funeral or anything else really like that. I just the people that I've known are still so much alive to me. My grandparents and my parents and my husband's parents. I don't want to remember their funerals.
That's fair. That's definitely a really good perspective, especially thinking about your kids, and not burdening them with anything extra after you pass. So I think that shows that you're a really good mom.
Well, I don't know what it shows. I don't know. My daughter might be furious with me for
Well, since we're not having a funeral, What would be some songs that you would take with you, let's say?
There's only a couple, maybe Amazing Grace, um, Ode to Joy.
Those two are pretty popular,
Things that
actually.
just yeah, things that bring tears to your eyes on occasion when you hear them. Things that
Yeah,
are emotional.
they have that beauty to them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What do you want done with your body after you die?
I want to be cremated,
Okay.
and I want to be put in an urn, and and my kids can fight over whose mantle it sits on. I don't know what they're going to do with it. I don't know what they're going to do with it. My daughter has ashes. My brother-in-law has ashes. Um, and I know my daughter has given ashes to family members from time to time to put in special places. And we did the same thing, getting ashes from Bruce's brother to put in special places. But I think there's still ashes around to go somewhere. But yeah, maybe something like that. Ashes around.
Ashes all around.
Yeah,
Ashes
yeah,
for everybody.
right.
This one is sort of the silly one. If you could haunt somebody after death, who would it be?
Probably my husband.
Yeah. Would you be mischievous?
I don't think so. I would only do it so that he knew that there was an afterlife. I remember my husband's mother. Um, her husband had died, and she was in a continuing care facility. And she was in it was a continuing care, but she was in the lowest level. Anyway, she woke up one night and she thought she smelled cigar smoke, and she heard a sound in the living room. And she said, "Fred, is that you?" And he said, "Yes." And she said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm just sitting here thinking." She rolled over and went back to sleep. And she asked if I thought that was Fred. And I said, "Yeah, probably was."
Absolutely.
But I thought, I mean, that's a nice thing to happen. I don't know whether she dreamed it or anything else, but it was nice.
Yeah. And it's like just a subtle reminder.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
So the last question is, what do you want people to remember you for after you die?
Well, I guess it's whether it's friends or whether it's family. I want family to remember that I love them, and I want my friends to remember that I was a good friend and I listened and I didn't tell.
You were the secret keeper. You were the vault.
I could keep a secret, right?
That's a good friend. Those are two wonderful qualities to be remembered for.
Well, I hope to be remembered for that. Other people might see you differently than you see yourself.
What do you care? You won't be there.
That's true. But if there's an afterlife, I will know.
Well, you can haunt them.
Yeah, yeah. Not in my plans.
I'm pretty sure you're going to have better things to do.
Yeah, I hope so.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today and answering the 10 questions. I really appreciate it. I know you came on sort of uh, surprisingly with an invitation. So I do appreciate you participating. And I hope that these answers maybe sparked a little something. Maybe you can have conversations, with other people about it.
My husband's sitting right here listening to the whole thing. So
Does he want to answer the questions?
Do you want to answer the questions, Bruce?
Not really.
No, he doesn't want to.
My answers would be the same.
He says his answers would be pretty much the same as mine.
Perfect.
But he absolutely believes in the afterlife.
Okay. Well, it sounds like a match made in heaven, literally and figuratively.
Well, I don't know what to say with him sitting here. You got me there.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Well, thank you so much, Beverly. I really enjoyed talking to you today. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
If you haven't answered the 10 questions yet, please consider signing up to be part of this important conversation. Let's continue breaking the silence together. See you next time.